All right, 6:30, I'll call the meeting to order. First thing, modifications and changes to the agenda, anything?
Yeah, we had an executive to follow up on a conversation, but we're not gonna do that tonight because Lori can't make it, so
No executive?
no executive.
Okay.
We're gonna throw in
Where do you want to
Shauna's.
put?
And then we put Shauna
Request.
in
Right at
The
the
permit's in the packet.
Right in the beginning,
probably,
number 3.5, how about that?
Sounds good to me.
She's a better than a 3.5, but we'll give her that anyway. She's a 5.
All right, modifications out of the way, public comment, nobody here from public, nobody online, huh? Probably not. Review and approval for the minutes of September 10th, short and
They were
sweet.
fine.
Move to
I
accept.
looked them over.
Second.
Not much. Okay, Eli had the first motion, Sandy with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Now we have Shauna.
Hey, Shauna.
Hey, so, the UBCA, with collaboration with Enosburg Rec has kind of thrown together this little event. We want to revive the Paint the Town Pink initiative, you may recall from years ago.
Where's the fashion show?
I know. Maybe next year we can rekindle that at the Quincy. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, it was coming together very quick. So it's essentially a month-long initiative to engage businesses in the community with a culminating event on October 20th. The event itself is pretty short and sweet. It's a gathering starting at 4:30 and basically kind of ending with a walk around town at 5:30. So during the event, we hope to have Notch or NMC representatives and the Loyal Area Cancer Network representatives to kind of...
Not Franklin County?
No, we have decided Lemoyle. The reasoning for that,
Other than they have a lot more money?
was just experience with them, with some people that had utilized their services. So anyway,
Okay, I get it.
let's see, where was I? So, essentially, all the funds raised throughout this were going to be going to that,
To which, to Lamoille?
yes, luminary display. We wanted to put pink lawn signs, stakes, pink ribbon lawn stakes along the sidewalk in front of the park and then across the street. So when you're going down Main Street, you're gonna kind of see those. We were hoping to display them, not the entire week, but just a few days up to that event.
What size are these things?
They're just little, I think
Are they a stick or like a political sign?
they're like a sign, political sign in the shape of a, they're
Ribbon?
maybe, yes, maybe 12 inches tall. There would be 75 total. So it would kind of not be just like a little display on both sides, facing the roads as you're driving through, you're seeing them. The walk itself would be a 1.5 mile loop around town, and we would have 4 crossing guards at elementary schools, by the elementary school, Bates, Depots and Main, and School Street. So basically 4 spots where we would have crossing guards with lit vests to kind of help people, because we're gonna have a luminary display, so the walk is in the evening, so essentially it'd be a little bit darker.
Like now? It's already getting dark.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
so sunset on October 20th is 5:27.
Oh God, that sucks.
Sorry. But so we're kind of doing it towards that time for visual effect for some luminaries. So you can get luminary by donation or walk by donation. Yeah, that's essentially it for the event. Very short and sweet.
So the walk starts at the park and ends at the park?
Yes. We're actually gonna go uphill, so that you're not coming back down and crossing the main depot intersection at the kind of darkest point, I guess. So we'll start by going up Main and around and back, around by the school and I think through the school parking lot back to the park. Yeah, that was kind of it. We're hoping we're gonna be selling t-shirts as part of this. That's kind of a separate thing, doesn't really have to do with the permit,
I mean, they're not going to be cancer-related t-shirts?
but, yes, they are.
Okay.
They're the design that I showed at the meeting. Were you still there?
Apparently not.
I can show you.
It's okay.
And your plans
I'll
for
wear my old one.
then your plans for the bandstand are just basically dress it up a little bit.
Yeah, we may not even utilize it. I just throw it past around. Yeah, we'll be selling them as part of this. The hope is that everybody.
And again, money going to the,
The hope that everybody would come wearing them, and we.
it's a good thing you're gonna have lighted vests and they're black
Yeah.
t-shirts.
Hoping to take a group photo before it's.
Any other questions?
No, do we need to have the actual dates for the lawn signs jotted down on the permit?
It looks like we're here.
Well, we don't make the politicians do anything,
10/18 to 10/20.
But
What was
you know, so they should be able
This
to.
October 18th to the 20th for the pink.
yeah,
ribbon.
no.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
Good.
okay. I'm doing okay.
If everyone's happy, motion to accept permit application and the bandstand permit application, waive the fee.
Move. Second.
Eli with first, Sandy the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Awesome, thank you. Stay tuned.
Thank you. I would love to see you try and solve the problem though,
No problem.
with our own county. Well, obviously there is a problem with Franklin County. I'd like to see that solved before we just always went out of the county.
We can have that conversation offline, how's
Okay,
that?
good
Okay.
deal.
I shall talk to you all later.
All right.
Everything on well this weekend?
It was great, wasn't it? Super?
Uh,
Park was full?
Yes, it was wonderful,
Yeah.
as far as I know. I only spent 20 minutes there because of homecoming.
And how was that?
Homecoming was wonderful. We
Good.
raised $1,402 for the AMV Foundation through
Wonderful.
admissions. So it was
Great.
great, and the games went well, and they
The
were
dance thing went
attended.
well?
Huh?
The dance thing?
The dance went well, uneventful with
Yeah.
the bonfire and
Great.
down at the, yeah, so
Cool.
it was a wonderful weekend.
It's good.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good night. St. Albans Pride Corps Park permit application. Is that?
He was here
No,
2 weeks
that's-
ago. He's not here tonight.
Yeah,
I felt bad.
Oh.
yeah.
I felt bad that we sent him away.
Mhm.
And we didn't print 17 of them this time.
Yeah.
Alright.
I know that they chatted with me a little bit about this because they were wondering about the permitting process and stuff. I don't have specific details.
So it's like just kind of just a gathering, huh?
Yeah, they want to have just a nice event in the park that's community minded,
It sounds like kind of a
inclusive.
family day.
Yeah,
It's not the 27th, we can always, contact them and then come back next meeting. What's up to you?
well, they. I mean, I know that they're really eager to have a date to be able to confirm.
Okay.
But so if
I mean, I think it looks pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. It's cut and dried.
Couple
It's
food
no
vendors,
different.
some games, music,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I don't know, it's good to me, I got no problem with it. Motion to accept.
Move we accept waive the fee.
a second.
Sandy with the first, Heather with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. Alright. Another permit request for the bandstand. Well, the park application was approved already.
Yeah, we already did
Right.
the park
Right.
application and then,
We're looking for the bandstand.
Brenda got that they would like to use the bandstand as well.
Well,
They used it last year, I believe.
They did,
Yeah,
she just,
different,
yeah,
oh yeah, yeah.
good with it.
Okay.
Make the motion.
Heather the first,
Second,
Tied.
die for the second.
Bobsey twins here.
We'll put Sandy in for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay.
So wait, if you,
And no fee.
Right.
Is there ever a fee for the bandstand itself, or is that
I think it's just
part?
ours.
I think it's just the part.
No, whatever. We'll leave it anyway. Okay, now we have a speed sign and or bump on the Siskiyou Street extension.
so we just had a resident come in, the issues of speeding down through Siskiyou Street.
Oh, so that's down toward the cemetery?
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
past the cemetery.
Past the cemetery?
Yeah.
On the dirt road?
We're
Mhm.
running out of houses down there, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They can only go so far.
But they can go so fast.
Yeah,
I was chatting with him last week.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's had some issues, has some chickens and stuff that kind of wander around down there, and again, we think it'd be kind of a dead end road, so. I just told him that in kind of our MO at this point is when we have those requests, we'll put a speed sign down there first, see if it helps. We just barely moved the other two, because Ken was out the week after the meeting. So one on School Street's been up for a little while, the one on Pleasant has been, just went up. So, I mean, we don't have to do it now, but I told him at some point we could probably put a speed limit sign down there.
I had a comment.
Whoops, sorry.
Go ahead. Oh, you're
Are
fine.
we doing anything with the data from those, or is it getting stored somewhere? We look at it?
We don't have any place to send it.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were
It's-
storing it to look at it
It is
ourselves.
always gathered, yeah.
I
we
thought Gary had a laptop.
We do, we can, no, it's still there, yeah, I mean, it's still.
So we're keeping it or something?
It's still, yeah, recording, we can log into the laptop and.
So
and
we
go
can
forward
look at it and
If
see
you
how.
wanted to see,
I was just curious.
yeah.
See what the high score is.
Right.
I had a comment about the one on Lower Pleasant today that someone brought to my attention. That they felt that it was backwards. Only
Again?
that is, now that school has started, as soon as school gets out, they're coming around the corner from the school and up
Racing
Pleasant
up the
Street like a bat out of
Mm.
Hades. Not the other way around.
Well, I mean, when we talked last time, we wanted people to slow down going in to the school, both ways, School Street and,
Was
but
just
maybe those,
We'll try
someone's
this way
observation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could always flip it around.
Yeah, we'll give it a month or something and see.
Yeah, it can be just flipped on.
it literally
seems-
can be
yeah.
turned around,
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
Wouldn't be hard, so we can do that
Probably
in a
easier
couple
than
weeks.
yeah.
Now, do our temporary speed bumps work on dirt?
I don't know how you mount it in place. You have to have a serious.
Right, how does that work? Is it just a ground screw, or is it like a,
No, they can be mounted in dirt,
they can?
yeah. I've heard they're easier to put your tires on and squeal them off, but that's one of the feedbacks we got on dirt roads when we were researching them.
Well, they
Other
can,
than that, they can go on there, yes.
they can put the pretty flowers on the dirt road that are on Main Street.
I think they had one on Doing Shore for a while. in Franklin.
You're right, yep.
That's
you're
the
right.
one that they put the tires on it. It's slow, they come up a little easier than they do if they're on pavement.
Yeah. It sounds like that resident deals with some pretty rowdy stuff at the end of his road.
Yeah.
It's pretty awful from the 45-minute conversation I had with him.
There's only one house down there, right?
No.
There's 2, 3.
Well, there's a
Yes.
couple of,
From the
Mrs.
cemetery
Perry,
down, there's two.
And then the, yep, sure, whatever their names are,
Bill.
at the last house. And there's somebody in the trailer, I think, now too. I think Scott
Hmm.
has bought the trailer and he's cleaned up the
Yeah.
entire yard, but I think there's somebody in it, so that means there's 3.
And then I guess there's a Airbnb there somewhere.
Oh, there's a tent
Yeah.
on the river.
Jeez.
And then the homeless man's house. I suppose that's technically down there too.
Okay, well, what do we wanna do? We wanna put a speed sign out?
Let's put it as the next time we move
Move
speed
'em?
signs.
Put it on the list?
Put it on the list.
While we're on the topic with
Since
that,
we just moved them.
Right.
another request for one of the other moves was on 108.
I get it out of town.
You mean West Berkshire Road? Or over here
Bakersfield.
across the bridge?
Yeah.
Where though? Right at the top of the hill?
Well, yeah, because like, you know, people are trying to, supposed to be turning into 35 and then 25, like people are still going 50 all the way through.
So like
So
by Jeff's.
to kind of remind
Yeah.
people that, you know, we're in the village now, slow down.
Should we buy another speed sign?
Still been a lot of requests for them,
Mm.
a lot.
People are getting really, really tired of the speed.
Yeah.
We only have the two.
Correct.
We had ordered another one before that one got smashed, didn't we? So we were,
We never.
I
No, I
don't
don't
think we
think so.
did. I think we had thought about it and we decided to just
we just
start with
replaced
the
the
two.
smashed one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the insurance money.
Because we looked into it was going to be as much to rebuild the smashed one as it was to just get a new one, I think. Right?
They're like what, $8,000 or something stupid?
No, those are more. That's if you saw the.
12 by now.
Yeah, they're closer to 14.
God.
Oh yeah, that's right, because Abby just looked them up.
Pre-lim
They're
for
over
next
Put
year
tires
budget.
out.
Yeah, you want to stick it in for first round,
Prelim for
Budgets.
next year's budget.
Yeah,
Mm.
we can.
an additional
It
one?
doesn't look like this is going away anytime soon.
No. Yeah, okay, I guess we'll do that. We'll slate Missisquoi extension for next round of rotation, and then we'll have Abby budget for another sign. Okay, good on that. Next up, we have a curb cut access permit request for water tower. I need to recuse myself from this item. They are close relations.
Okay, so then I
So-
take over the meeting. I'm not sure.
Heather has it.
And we have a forum of the three of us. Okay.
Get past all the pictures
Down
to
and
the
dirty from Gary. I guess.
paperwork.
Yeah, Gary gives us breakdown of it. I believe if it's a one single access and then a split. But yeah, if you read Gary's kind of.
I read the. It says proposed drive needs to be 90 degrees to the existing road, which the sketch owner supplied does not. So is that something they're gonna fix? Are they aware of this? What do you guys-
As long
Looks
as
like
we-
exhibit A, it appears to be a 90 degree, but the hand drawn appears to be at an angle.
As long, I believe he said, as long as we approve it to the way he recommends.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
And did he want the 18 in, oh, so, well, it says it needs to be at least the 15-inch, but it looked like there was a
18 is recommended.
for the
Yeah,
18,
for
so
residents doing
which
that.
would we,
I would recommend the 18, so it's big enough to begin with. It's like building a garage, you know?
yeah,
But then I've never put in a culvert.
neither have I, but if there's cause for concern to
Yeah,
go for the
I'd rather have
larger
it too big
line.
than too small, I think.
Yeah, because that would cost a lot of money and headaches.
And could do a lot of
after.
damage.
Yeah,
So we'll move to accept with an 18-inch culvert and a 90 degree, everything like Gary said.
and the blind driveway sign.
Line driveway
Yes.
signs.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Sorry, Sandy, Heather first? Who's first?
I moved.
Eli.
Sandy second.
All were in favor.
Did you get all the 18-inch and,
Yep,
okay.
right as fast as I can.
Okay.
Approved,
You can step up your shorthand game, right?
Mine's not so bad, I can't read it.
18
I can read my longhand now, I can't read my shorthand.
Alright,
Okay, I will turn the meeting back over to Sam.
All right. Looks like we have an allocation request for the Quincy.
so, for our audit, it came back and, they presented it to Quincy and they decided to purchase the 10 missing seats within their missing allocations of the seats. inside.
I'm gonna give up my private table.
The only request is we approve the allocation, and then, as you can see on the bottom of the request, where he has this total, they're asking for a payment process. So,
Did they,
Good evening.
hi, how are you?
did they have anything in mind?
They did not throw out.
Just that they knew they couldn't swallow this.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they're like to take X number of payments.
I don't believe they had a, that's the way to put it, they had
The
a
restaurant was totally blindsided.
Requested payment.
Do a year.
Is the highlighted our total number?
That's total, yeah.
I think 12 months would be alright.
12 months would be 376.25.
If they're amicable to that, I am.
Good with that?
So,
I think, just personally, they'll probably be amicable to anything that isn't that whole chunk.
right.
Okay, so motion to approve Quincy's additional allocations
And I'll
with
include it.
a 12-month term to be paid monthly.
Beginning,
Beginning this month.
we're still over time, they can put it on the October.
October.
Yeah, October.
Okay.
So, yeah, it'd be 376.25 a month for 4,515 total. Over 12.
I'll second.
12. You know the first, Heather the second. All those in favor say aye.
Right?
And those opposed, nay. Please have Abby check my math.
Sorry, first and second?
Eli, Heather.
First,
And I recused.
Sandy recused.
I mean, I work for him.
Okay, then I also, and I vote aye.
Let's see, Perfect. I'm good.
All right. Up next, we have VHB Engineering Sidewalk Proposal for Church Street to the state's park and ride.
Thanks for timing.
So, yeah. I do have a presentation,
I do, yeah.
but I have it on flash drive too, because I didn't know, because Abby
No.
didn't make it. so-
Yeah, no, I got it. Let me, no, Abby left me hanging there, like. She's a clerk for the works. We should have it here,
Oh yeah, that's it.
but
Great.
let me share it, I think. Well, nobody's online, I guess it doesn't matter. If Abby pops on, I guess I can share it.
Screen share.
Of course, she's probably seen it too.
Yeah. she's seen it. There.
All right, hi everyone.
Hi.
My name is Sierra Ford. I work at VHB. Just stands for three very German last names. Civil engineering firm based out of Watertown, Massachusetts. My office is in South Burlington. I'm here today to talk to you about the Pearl Street Sidewalk project. The village of Enosburg got a transportation alternatives program grant from the state that's funded through FHWA to build a sidewalk project. It's basically a grant that allows towns and villages, municipalities to improve pedestrian and bicyclist infrastructure, transportation alternatives other than the vehicle. So tonight I'm gonna introduce myself, introduce the project team, give a little background, explain the project purpose, and then open it up to you guys. If there's any concerns, comments, anything that we're trying to open the floor here for open coordination and communication to see what the interest is in the public. This is called a local concerns meeting, and it's part of the VTrans municipal assistance section process to gather public input in order to inform the project moving forward.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
So two things. I didn't know if Jesse was coming or not. We did do a site visit with Gary and Abby, and Jesse went over, just looking at that tree line. So the town is already kind of aware of that, even though it's like the maples, whatever. Obviously the big pine tree was gonna come down as part of the project. We weren't sure about the maples. They're very close to where our right of way ends. But they're aware that they may come down, and we'll just replant kind of the backside, I think is the plan. So Jesse's been made aware, I guess the town has been made aware.
Where's the pine is towards the house, right? Towards Main Street.
No, the pine, that big, I think it's spruce, just right next to it, the parking lot.
Parking lot.
Yeah.
Fall in the parking lot, clean it up.
So, the project team,
What happened?
myself, I'm Sierra from VHB, as I already mentioned. Because we get federal money for this, we have a V-Trans project manager, and that's Derek Tennyson. He's not attending today, but he's also helping guide the project forward. And then I'm working with Gary and Abby at the village. You can click to the next one.
There's a delay.
No worries.
Doesn't show up there.
We have to not look at it, then it'll go away.
Right.
Avert our eyes.
Now we're 2 ahead. Ay.
Technology is wonderful.
When it works.
Oh, it's showing it now, okay.
Yeah, you can skip right to the overview. The purpose is just to say that we're increasing pedestrian and safety for users other than the vehicle along Pearl Street.
Yeah, apparently the delay's
So this-
bad tonight.
Yeah, you can always just keep it in this view
Yeah.
as
That's a
well.
good shot.
So this is just a very brief glimpse of the project area. We're putting sidewalk on the north side of Pearl Street between Church Street and the Park and Ride facility. That's about 475 feet of new sidewalk.
They're good to keep the grass, it's 5 feet wide.
So the next couple slides just talk about the existing conditions in the area, and I mean, it's a very small project area, so the idea is 5 foot wide sidewalk. That's very typical. It would be concrete, and we would not be adding curb to the currently curbless road because there is no drainage infrastructure. As soon as you add curb, you're adding a gutter line for stormwater to flow down the side of the road, and that's just a whole other process that we don't really need to deal with. So the idea would be to add a grass buffer between the sidewalk and the roadway to add some sort of separation between the pedestrian and the vehicles on the roadway in addition to the shoulder. When you don't have curb, you definitely want some sort of separation. Ideally that's 5 feet. In some areas where you're more constricted, that can go down to 2 or 3 feet. Ideally it's big enough for snow storage, which typically ends up being 2 to 3 feet wide, but that real safety buffer would be an ideal 5 foot width. So depending on limitations and constrictions, you can kind of vary that grass buffer. And as you see here, we have a house that is pretty close to the road, so we might have to vary that buffer width a little across their property.
With the buffer, that wouldn't go into the road a little bit, we're just playing with that access.
Right, we would not be touching the road. Everything would be built from the edge of pavement into
Out the other way.
outside of the road. Starting with that edge of pave, edge of shoulder, and then that 5 foot grass buffer would be from there, and then the 5 foot sidewalk beyond that. And our team has already gone out and taken some topographic survey, so to get the grading, we usually lay out a corridor and a 3D model to look at it to make sure that all the water is going to the place we want it to do, and we are not creating any low spots for ponding.
Where the house is, and you're not touching any of the road, you're going to go the grass buffer and then the sidewalk. How far into their lawn is that gonna go?
So ideally, we would keep everything within the village's right of way. I don't know who owns the actual Pearl Street through here, the village. So ideally, everything would stay within the right of way, and we have about, I can't remember how many rods of right of way we have from the center line of the road, but I think we should be able to fit a sidewalk with a buffer of varying width. This house is outside the right of way, but the part of their yard, what makes
Part
up
of their yard isn't, right?
is within the right of way, it is not owned by them, so there will be some close coordination that'll be needed with property owners, because as much as we might not be on someone's property, it is public facing. They do want, you do want to kind of mitigate that impact that you're having and pleasing as many people as you can and explaining your process. So part of the process of design is presenting a design, going through the right-of-way process where you communicate with property owners, and if there's any temporary or construction rights that are needed, you go through them and you can alter the deed for the property. But it's a whole process that we can walk through with the village. So this is one of the constricting areas for sure, is this house that's pretty close to the roadway.
That's probably the only one, isn't it?
Yeah, the other constricting area that we have is the trees, as John mentioned. We'll have to look at the topographic survey that we did to see how far those trees are from the edge of pavement, and if we want to stay within the right of way and not go onto the now town-owned property, what that sidewalk and buffer would look like. There is a little bit of a dip. It's a little hard to see in this photo, but it does drop off from the edge of pavement there, so just figuring out what we want to do with water runoff from the roadway, because right now, currently, water just sheets off the road and infiltrates right into the grass right there. So as soon as you add some more impervious surface, where it won't infiltrate, you just have to watch where you're putting the water. So we'll definitely be closely scrutinizing this area with the trees. Ideally, you retain them, but like John's mentioned, you can always replant. And this is the end of the project, where we will tie into the park and ride. Right now, there's a detectable warning surface, truncated dome, leading to nowhere. So we would rebuild that and tie into their sidewalk there with flush sidewalk. And I can go into the schedule a little bit. So we kicked off this project back in July, and that's when we started doing our topographic survey, and we have our historic preservationists looking at the area, because you have to make sure you are not impacting any historically sensitive areas, and there are some historic homes within this district. So making sure that our project doesn't have any alternative impacts is what we're kind of in the process of right now. And right now I'm giving the local concerns meeting presentation, and after this, and based on your feedback, we will be progressing our conceptual plan development, and that's really a basic schematic plan of what the sidewalk will look like for that 475 feet. After we submit these conceptual plans, we'll come back and have a public interest meeting and public information meeting where we can go over the plans, talk about anything that is a concern or what we'd like to tweak, and from there we move on to preliminary plans, which is where you really define the limits of your work, and that's when you start going into that right-of-way process if you have any impacts outside of the right-of-way. And then on and on, we have a couple different plan submittals that are required with the V-Trans process, and construction is projected for late summer of 2026.
Takes a long time, huh?
Yes, so when you have federal funding, you have to, well, there's a process that you follow. We have conceptual, preliminary, final, and then we have these public meetings that we have to present at as well to make sure that it is a very valid process. It is how the funding program works, and when you have funding, you have Vermont Transportation Domain, Agency of Transportation. They have to perform reviews, and they are allowed 3 weeks of review period. So that automatically, every time you have a submission, you push out a month before you can respond to their comments and push the plans forward after that. So it definitely stretches out.
Takes time.
And then the one risk, I guess I would say, is the right-of-way process. When you have impacts outside the right-of-way, that comes down to the property owners signing off on what you are proposing. And that can, depending on who you're working with and who you're communicating with, can definitely lengthen the process. So we have that right now. You can see it's from August of 2025 to February of 2026. That could be shortened, that could be lengthened. You never know what you're working with, but that's why we try to mitigate any impacts outside the right-of-way and keep on the village land.
Does the grant funding cover easements?
I don't believe so.
So we would have to pay for those?
Probably if it's
If we needed one.
Yeah,
if we need
we
it,
need
because we were gonna have to pay out for Elm Street up to the EMS building. That wouldn't be part of it either.
But yeah, I think that is really all I had to present. There's a very small project area, and you had mentioned some questions as I was presenting, but is there any area you want to talk about more, any concerns you might have with the project?
I mean, really the biggest one, we've been talking about is just this section here.
I would think if any problem's gonna crop up, that's where it's
We
gonna
got a
be.
fire hydrant, we got a guide wire, we got a power pole,
Yeah.
and it's a pretty busy power pole, so that's the only.
We'd have some infrastructure work to do on our behalf.
We were talking about going around it, right, and depending on the easement.
Yeah, so with our survey, we'll get the exact location of all the utilities and see if there's an ADA compliant space to put a sidewalk navigating it through the utilities there. But we might end up needing to go through utility relocations, but those utility poles are located within the village right of way, so they should have to, are they village owned actually?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess they would be falling under the project costs then, to be able to relocate them if needed to make sure that the sidewalk is compliant.
I think the fire hydrant's the biggest
Yeah.
thing in the way.
Yeah, is that spurring off of the just line going down Pearl Street?
The fire hydrant?
Yeah, or is it?
I don't know how that's fed, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah.
So we might be able to look down for that.
Yeah, so relocating fire hydrants, as long as it's like parallel with the current installation, you should just be able to extend the line because that's where the valve is. You can shut it off, extend the line, and move it out right in tangent with the current like 90 off of the main line. So that's something that we can definitely take a closer look at. Ideally, we try to mitigate any impacts as possible, but
Can't avoid them all always.
exactly.
No, they do.
That's why we're here.
I'm good.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Alrighty. Now I got some local options tax discussion.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
very much.
So, John, I'll let you
Alright.
kick this one off.
I have my sheet out there. I gotta stand up, present, sorry.
Okay, this is getting serious. This
Getting
guy's stand up.
I was like, he's gonna drop
He's
his
standing
for
up.
it.
He's standing up for a minute too.
So we've been talking about this, we talked about it last year, maybe possibly putting it on a ballot last spring, kind of floated it out there. Didn't think the turnout would be fair, so that's why we decided to put it into this year's, or the request would be to put it on the ballot this November or in the election. Guessing with all the political things going on in the world, that will have a pretty good turnout this year, so a pretty good representation of our village. I've already talked to, if we get to the point of wanting to do it, I've already talked to Andy, he can line up a crew. They would be set up separately at the EMS building, and village residents would go and vote on the local option tax while they're there to vote on the regular election. Shouldn't be a problem at all. He didn't think it'd be a big deal, he would just let him know. There is no timeline per se. We don't have to like warn it a certain amount of time if we agree to put it on the ballot this year. There's no like, we have to have it done 30 days before. The other thing too, the legislature's passed last year. So it used to be a bit of a process. So when if a village or town passed a local option tax, and that had to be presented, I may not have this 100% correct, but a representative would have to put it in front of the legislature, and the legislature would have to go through and approve it during the session in the spring. So it was kind of like a process. Now, literally, if we decide to put it on the ballot and it gets passed by the voters, I email the tax department saying that it's passed, and away we go. It's that easy. So the reason why, I've been wanting to look at it, I've talked to a lot of different managers and administrators, and mayors and so forth, and it seems like a pretty darn good idea. Like we've talked about, it's definitely, the concept is, have tourists and outside folks help support our main street. It's kind of the concept of it all. And kind of help put money back into their main street. And then again, I'm not gonna say we would never raise our general fund again, but it would definitely help our general fund percentage increase each year would probably be minimal if we could use these funds for projects like pave a road, portion of a grant funding. If we had a match a grant funding, the funds would be there to do that, add a sidewalk, that type of thing. As you can see, and nothing about to the process, but we had that Pearl Street already all lined up. We would have had it done in 3 months, but because of this process, it's great, it's free money, it's grant money, but it takes 2 years because you have to go through the state process. So things like that would just be a lot quicker. So if you look at this sheet here, so what I did was, if you look down through, and anybody can pull it up, if you look kind of like the second or third street, you can see all the gross. You see gross and retail sales. So you go right to the Vermont website and you pull that up. So then you look up Enosburg. So what I did is I took, because that's Enosburg, so that's town and village. So what I did was I took, I think it's 29 million. For 2023. So you take obviously 1% of that, because that's what we make. And then you got to take off the state's cut. So again, I believe the state's cut right now is like 24%, but I keep hearing that as other towns and villages are adding on, and they made the process easier, it sounds like the state's going to want to take 30% cut. So essentially,
30%
of the total,
So we get 0.7%
we get 0.7%.
of the 1% that's collected.
So if we collect 1% of that,
We don't get.
Oh,
we don't do anything. The village doesn't do anything, we simply get a check. So as all the retailers submit their tax.
Of course they would want.
Yeah, they take
Of course.
their administrative.
A tax on a tax,
It's
huh?
the American way.
See how this works.
Oh, double taxation, oh, wait a minute.
So yeah, they take 30% as their administrative fees, and then we simply get a check for the 70%. So that's where I got the 172,000. So 1% at 30%. And then what I did, it's probably mathematically pretty close, but so I went through and I took all of the town businesses that we have through power. And I took all of those, and then I took all the retail, and I took some other businesses, or I took the retail, and then the businesses that don't have retail out. So I came up with about 50%. So the total number was, the 172,000 is 15% less than the total, because the other 15% would be the town, not the village. So that 172,000 represents an estimate of what the village would make. Again, it's, as I talk to managers and so forth, like a lot of things, the first month or two, businesses, people will come in, break a little bit, and then after that, you never heard from people again. I put in there, because I know you had some questions last time, but there's a FAQ sheet in there about what's, like Eli had asked,
There's a
You're
lot of
selling-
examples.
if you're selling a part to somebody and I'm transporting and all that type of stuff.
Quite a bit of extra work.
But again, the concept simply is, you have the molders out here, a lot of tourists come through, they're stopping, they're buying retail stuff. Mindset is let them help support our community. And again, like I mentioned too, Amazon, we have a lot of folks that shop Amazon now. They're not stepping out the door and supporting local businesses, they're supporting whoever in California or wherever. At least we still grasp, instead of getting the 6% or 7% total, at least we're getting that 1% off of that, which would help support the community, the money back in. You know, some of the concepts that we thought of for the use of the money would be just projects for the village. Again, so we wouldn't have to go back to the general fund and be like, oh, we want to pave Missisquoi Street this year. You know, 170,000 probably would cover that. If there's like little projects that we've talked about doing to help Main Street or whatever, you know, a crosswalk sign or whatever, those funds could come in and we don't have to add them to the budget. But again, I believe it's a great concept for a village or a town.
Well, it's gonna be the will of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the voters. I guess I guess the question is, one, tonight is just to present it, and if you had any other follow-up questions for me. So my two questions would be, do you want to move forward and I come back next meeting and we decide whether to put it on the ballot in November, and or if we decide that you want to host, I don't know what we get for a turnout, you want to host like a informational meeting.
I feel like we're just adding an extra, we're adding extra tax to everybody that already lives here, that already pays enough tax.
But our choices, well, but like John was saying, other people could help raise that. We have to raise the funds one way or another.
Other people are gonna pay into it, but still, every resident of the village is going to be paying extra to live in the village. Extra tax.
Yes, and or it has to come out of increased general fund
Or
taxes.
you gotta watch what you're spending in general fund.
I was talking to somebody from Montgomery who is a business owner, and they did this 2 years ago, and they said they've had like no complaints, and they're able to do some major infrastructure work with the revenue from it.
I've heard the same thing.
And they've been pretty pleased with it. They had to go through all those hoops. They almost wish, except for the money part, they almost wish they had waited a year, because they actually had to redo their charter to for the local options tax. You don't have to anymore.
Yeah, it's quite an easy process.
Now Swanton's considering it too, aren't they?
Swanton has, I just read an article, Heinsberg is, yeah, both the town and the village of Swanton are considering it.
Saw a little feedback.
Yeah,
And it's all
Some
based on
good, some
sales.
not so good.
So I mean, everything's been inflating crazy. If something goes up 20%, what's an extra one?
Again, it's gonna come one way or
At
the
end of
other.
days, where does it stop? It's an extra 1% here, and then it's an extra 10% there, and then we need another 3% here.
But it's not a tax that a village resident is forced to pay. It's coming from all the different communities,
how would
different
they-
states, even
How would a
different
village
counties.
resident get out of paying it?
Well,
Not buying anything in the
Well,
village?
they wouldn't, because if they shop on Amazon continuously, they're gonna pay it there too.
or if they go to Walmart, they're gonna pay it.
So they might as well pay it
Very
home.
Or they'll end up paying it in their general, in the tax
Anyway,
rate that
whatever.
we set in order to raise funds to do something.
So that's the thing, like that extra 172,000, like that's not a lot of money. It's enough money to cover something like, let's say we have to pay Missisquoi extension, and it costs about that. So instead of everyone's taxes going up and the residents feeling that immediate burden from that decision, it's spread out over our economic impact area.
Right, and that 172,000 is enough now, but 2 years down the road, oh man, we need more money. Like, when does it stop?
But our taxes wouldn't go up.
This year. Who knows what happens next year?
But what I'm saying is we could do a lot of projects that we would normally put off because it would have way too much impact on people's property taxes.
Right, and our infrastructure would continue to crumble, which would then have us with like a bottlenecking of projects that we would have to fund, which is kind of where we're at sort of right now from not,
From where we've been.
yeah.
Then you're paying for everything at once.
Yeah.
I support it. I get where Eli's coming from, like we are getting taxed to death, but
I mean, the concept is that.
We've swallowed the town tax increase, so I suppose we Mine was 15.75%.
And that's on your property value,
Yeah.
not on the stuff you buy.
No, I just said if I could swallow
Yeah.
that, I,
And you know that, yeah, an extra penny on the dollar for when you buy stuff. Everything's already 3 times more than it should be, so. I think we should put it on the ballot.
The one question I have,
yeah, it's not up to us anyway.
yeah, I mean, people don't.
Basically,
people will vote
if
it
people
down.
don't wanna do it, we will find that out.
One question I had is when I was talking to somebody from Montgomery, is they had to have a specific language around what the money would be raised and spent on. And so we would, I believe, is that still true? And do we, because we need something on
You
that.
can't have like a 1% tax and have a giant Christmas party.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's not for
Yeah.
a Christmas party.
From what I understand, no, it not technically doesn't need to be. The idea is that, I can't remember the exact terminology the town of St. Albans used. They kind of left it loose. It's more of, to Eli's point, it's when you go to the voters, is it,
Something to
they're
explain
gonna
what we're
ask-
raising money for.
right, well, why, what are you?
Yeah,
use
it's
this
gonna be,
money
why do you
for?
need this money?
Yeah.
Right, and we can say that it will be general fund purposes to pave sidewalks, all of those, grant support. If we sell it as a big Christmas party every year, I'm sure it's not gonna pass. That's, so
Unless
no,
we
there's not
like it.
technically any verbiage that needs to be in there,
Okay,
it's more
yeah.
of how you're gonna
So we
present
get
it
to
to the
kind of
voters.
choose, yeah, 'cause like,
Yeah,
yeah, it was,
so towns, I can't remember their exact terminology, but it's left loose, so they could go buy a new plow truck, or they go put a sidewalk in, you
yeah.
know, any of those things.
Is this something that needs to be voted on every year?
No,
To,
once
to
it's
maintain
passed,
the law?
passed until
Until
somebody
somebody-
says, no, let's unpass it.
And are you still
Now, has that ever
recommending,
happened?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
are you still recommending, because there were, last time you brought this up, there were 3 options of categories. Is that still true?
I was just gonna recommend the retail.
So it
Yeah,
is
the
still
other
true that
ones-
there are 3
There are, yeah,
options?
there's meals and rooms.
Yeah, rooms and,
It's
rooms
actually
and
in
meals
that
or
paperwork,
something.
I think.
Yeah, rooms and meals is already,
Yeah, and Ian said you didn't wanna
9%,
do
that's-
that.
alcohol is
already-
10%.
yeah.
Yeah,
And we just don't have that.
our restaurants are
I mean, if
Yeah,
we
they're
were,
dying as it is.
having a hard
if we were
time.
Stowe, it'd be worthwhile, but I don't think it's worthwhile.
Montgomery does all 3, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
world example, the amount of sales tax that I collected in 2023, what the village would gain based on that is about $800.
800? You could've bumped those numbers up. We've got roads to pave, man. So,
It's
okay,
not like,
$800 spread, like your total sales for the year.
that's my total sales tax collected
So you're,
by the 70%-ish.
yeah,
What we would get is about.
so that $800, in your mind, is that too much of a burden for your customers?
Well, it's, so that's an extra 1,200-ish bucks that everybody's gonna have to pay.
But the amount of, you know the amount of
It's
transactions
not,
you see.
the $800 to me is not worth the amount of extra effort it's gonna take me to follow the plan.
But what about someone for like Franklin Foods?
I can't imagine Franklin Foods collects sales tax.
Retail sales.
They don't have
But
any
I'm
retail
guessing
sales.
it's Blue Ones,
Well, this isn't any retail sales though.
This should be on
I mean,
sales
we-
tax, if you
Sales
if you
tax.
sell something. you-
Right, but a heating tax is not
Oh,
sales
well, I
tax.
guess Franklin
Gas
Foods would
tax
go
isn't sales tax.
direct to the consumer. Go to
It'd be like,
distributor.
it would
Bates,
be
Ace.
Tractor Supply, Bates,
To the
Ace.
end consumer.
well, it's $29 million, whatever that's coming from, which I was astonished by how much, I mean, if you look at some of these,
Is that sales tax collected or total sales?
that's total retail sales.
Right.
But is
6%
every
of that.
sale subject to Vermont sales tax?
No.
It's whatever retail sales the state collected. So
Well,
whatever-
retail sales
so if you
incur
look
a
at-
sales
yeah,
tax,
if you look at the, I don't have it.
other than food,
So,
clothing.
Gross is the total, that's total sales. And then that's, the retail is the 6% of that.
the retail, so,
Line item,
right, but this category here isn't just representing
I can't see it.
the taxable, like the end consumer
Enosburg
are these
Yeah.
numbers.
is 128.
Leonard's
Yeah.
copy.
Right, the retail sales is the total retail sales.
And so theoretically,
That's the
these numbers
6%.
should be 6% of the ones next to it, right?
29, no, that's not right. 6% of 128 million is $7,685,054, not 29 million.
Yeah, I think that the second column are just the sales that are subject to 6%.
Yes.
So it'd be 6%.
So it'd be 6% of this number on the right.
And then 1% of
Yeah,
that,
that's what I
and
think.
then 7/10 of that. Oop, I'm sorry, wrong. That's not right either.
So the retail sales, like Sandra said, is the dollar amount of sales captured from retail sales.
And that's both non-taxable and taxable retail sales?
No, that's
Or just taxable
just
retail
taxables,
sales?
because I didn't print it.
So no clothing, no food,
'Cause I didn't print it, but they actually have that column.
okay.
Well, that still doesn't make sense. 6% of 29 million's $1,000,007. And if you did,
What was Montgomery's figure? Do you remember what their law generated last year?
I don't know. I know St. Albans town is 1.3 million.
This is what they got. Their check from the
They
state
got
was
a check from the
1.3.
state, 1.3.
so
And I believe the city's similar to that. It's not-
29 million is the total sales or the total sales tax?
It's a total tax, it's total, so of all the products sold, that can collect that 6%, that's what that number represents.
So that's total sales.
Total
Taxable
taxable sales.
Taxable retail sales of 6,
29 million, 129, 130.
which maybe that's what the state looks at, look how much money they're losing,
So that,
right? Because if you look at the left column, gross, and then you look at retail, you're kind of like, wow, we collect a lot more money.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's what I was like Franklin Foods, if they sell right to a distributor, they don't pay sales tax because that distributor's not the end consumer.
Right, yeah.
So that ends
So
up in
then-
that tax comes from the consumer that buys it in the
So then the
store.
distributor sends all that to the store, and the store doesn't pay sales tax on it until it is sold.
Right. And of course, if they're gonna eat it, they don't pay sales tax on it anyway. So that would leave Franklin Foods up.
I can see if I
you're
can
doing
Damn.
something wrong.
I can see if I can bring up the site for the,
And clothing's
You're
up
doing
too,
the math
right?
wrong or something here.
Shoes, I believe, are taxed, clothing is not.
No, shoes aren't.
No,
Shoes aren't?
not,
Oh, no, that was Maine, that was where I just showed.
isn't it like any single item over 100, or was that changed?
4740.
For clothing and shoes, I think if
I
the items
haven't been
were-
able to buy clothing in Vermont for so long, I don't know.
01
Don't remember.
times 0.2. So, I'm doing, I don't, must be doing my math wrong, but I can't, I don't. You take 6% of 29 million is 1,747,000. Moving my decimal points wrong, I gotta be. So, 1% of that's only 17,000. But no, it'd be 174,000, so how am I doing?
no, it'd be 1% of the 29 million,
Right.
which is 200 and almost.
No, it wouldn't be
300.
1% of 29
Seven-
million, because you said
70%.
29 million was total sales, right?
No, total retail sales.
Enosburg, total retail sales, 29,000. So this is subject to the Vermont sales tax, this number right here.
So that's the state collected 6%.
So 1,747,000.
How? That's a lot.
I know. Look at some of those towns. Some of them are like,
But that's why I'm starting to wonder if this is,
I'll show you the site.
Well, look at Essex right underneath us.
that's crazy. $96 million in taxes?
No, in taxable sales.
Right.
The total was, if you
So it'd be
add,
6% of that would be the taxes.
if you add it up, I think it was like $3 billion that they collected.
I was looking at Burlington, Colchester, they're in the
1%.
billions for gross sales.
Oh, it was right
Well, stop looking, cause we're not ever gonna be there.
That's
Don't
wrong.
think I want to.
Somehow I'll do it.
The trouble they've got.
$1.8 billion
I'm not,
gross sales in
So-
Colchester.
somebody
Hold
needs
on,
to
hold
check
on.
them out.
And that's all just Costco.
Sales price times tax rate, right, so you get $7 on every 100.
To look at Cabot.
Well, I get the, but see, that doesn't make any sense. There's nothing
No.
in Cabot other than the
Then
cheese
Cabot
plant.
cheese, and that's food.
That's what I'm saying, I don't think.
I think these numbers are skewed.
I can't see how
I'm only coming up
Enosburg
with like 17 grand,
got $29 million in sales.
no,
I don't think the state's messing up how much money they get for us.
That's true.
I don't know what is the state we're talking about.
170,000.
Oh, well, I mean.
There's a lot of
well,
stuff sold in grocery stores that's
see,
taxed.
That's taxable, yeah.
What I'm doing is
Yeah.
making sense to you, I guess. If that's the total
And when you
taxable
take,
sales, that's 6%.
Colchester as an example, and you look at the Costco store,
47,
and their annual revenue,
34.
and
This 29 million,
2/3 of
Right,
the
so
stuff
take
in their
6%
store is
of
not
that
food.
is that.
Yeah.
yeah,
So that should
okay,
be how much tax they collected,
right?
and then we get 1% of that, right?
Not 1% of the sales tax, we get 1% of this tax, this
That's not
number.
tax, that's sales.
We're getting 1% of the sales, we're not getting
Craftsberry
1%
makes
of the
sense,
6%, we're
because
getting
they've
1% of the total
Oh,
sales.
Four
That's what
different
we're doing.
entities that make a fortune,
Like, don't, my numbers
but they're
aren't-
either food or drink.
And then we're getting
No, no,
70%
So then when
of
you
that
look at the
1%.
retail, it drops from 16,000
So
down
here,
to
this is
4.
the little
million.
guide here, so if you look, local option tax, 6%, 1% would be 7%, local option meals tax, these are the three we talked about. The meals tax would be 9%, 1% would be 10, and then the local option alcohol beverage tax, 10% would actually be 11. I guess
That's
it's
gonna
more.
be an expensive martini.
And then rooms and meals tax. I'm trying to find that spreadsheet.
Is it data and statistics?
Where did you see that?
On the left, a little further down. It's still down.
No, right there.
I see your pointer, no.
Yeah, here
It'll
it
be
is.
a whole
This is it.
other conversation.
That was right back to where we were.
So that's rich.
Oh, here we go.
There's definitely by far more towns that aren't doing it there.
Here's fiscal year 223.
But yeah, I think we should throw it on the ballot. 'Cause if
Well,
you have-
I mean, it's the populace that's going to, basically, other than just the people at this table, they're gonna have to pay for it. So
Here we go.
and
they
would
need
you
to
rather
tell us
have
what they want.
Canadians who are coming down willing to spend money help us with infrastructure?
Canadians coming down are still willing to spend money.
Enosburg, Tractor Supply.
They're just playing.
Like their money would have an impact on our
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
on our tax bill, like homeowners tax bill.
Yeah.
And I think we probably should definitely have an informational meeting
I think
to
so. I
to
think
clear
it's
up
the
any
right thing to
questions
do.
that
Yeah.
anybody might have, because
So this was, I mean, I didn't, I just, so this was February. So there's your gross, your retail.
and that's just 1 month.
Yeah.
What was that, 1.8 million?
$180,000. Right?
So
No, that's
use
10%.
in retail figures are taxable receipts.
Doesn't make any sense. That must have been gross.
Well, if it's a
See,
taxable receipt,
That'd
it's
be-
that, though, that figure is the figure
The
that is
gross
taxable.
receipts may or may not include sales subject to exemptions.
10%
And
would
use
be
in-
180,000. 10% would be 80,000.
Yes, we wanna look the retail number, which is the 29.
70% of 18,000, so 12,
1% of that.
Right.
12,000 in a month.
And then you said you took 15% off that because assuming
I
that,
took 30% off because that's the state's cut, and
Yeah.
then I took 15% off was estimating what is the town, because this number represents Enosburg, not the
Oh,
town
okay,
separate.
yeah, Enosburg plural.
Right. It's all sales in Enosburg.
Of which I would think we're certainly going to have the largest percentage. There's not much
There's
in
more
town.
business.
Well, zoning, there's no retail allowed in the town, right?
well, there's,
Well, the West
Gas
Enosburg
station,
Country Store
yeah.
has some things that are
Grandfathered.
food.
Dairy
Oh.
center,
Grandfather.
They have retail?
probably just more rooms and meals and rooms, but
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think it's,
Retail.
yeah,
I
retail
know,
and
you can't
mobile.
even buy a coffee cup in there, I don't think.
Boss Post Dairy,
Yeah, Boston Post Dairy. I don't know if John,
Paul's
like
Golf
Mountain
Range.
View.
Ray
It's
Allen's
not retail
t-shirt
though,
on
because
the
like
apparel.
Country Boy Classics were trying to get something, they weren't zoned correct. Like a retail store. But, okay,
Well, again, you can think on it to present next, we can go over next, meeting. Again, and hash out a little bit more, and then come up with a date for a, informational meeting on it.
And if we do, I think we'll need to be, really, what do I wanna say? Like really advertise it about both the information meeting, but also the voting. A lot of ballots are being mailed to folks, so I'm not sure how many people are actually gonna show up on polling day. So just kind of to be aware of, like, yes, hopefully a lot of people are voting, but they're getting their ballots any day now, and they can turn it in whenever they want to.
we'll probably get our steady 40, 46 voters, so usually.
Let's hope we get 40 or 46 that don't mind paying the tax.
Well,
Then we'll be
I
okay.
did present the EBA, I can represent it next month.
What
And
what
it
was
was-
their impression?
There was no issue, and I mean.
Of course, EBA's retail presence has dwindled
Yeah,
tremendously in the last 10 years.
Should
They're more
we,
service oriented.
should we host the informational meeting before we vote to put it on the ballot? Or does it not matter? Or it doesn't matter?
I mean, we do
But
not,
if we had the informational meeting before we decided to put it on the ballot, we could feel out the residents more if they even want it on the ballot, rather than us deciding to put it on the ballot without their input.
Right. I don't know, let's think on it, and then next meeting, come up with a game plan.
I mean, what exactly would we need to prepare for an informational meeting, like?
I think we get some more, well, I
gotta
guess
have
these
some hard
numbers, these numbers are fairly solid, but I think us as a board would need to come up with like a spending plan.
that'd be my recommendation, come up with some ideas before an informational meeting, what you want to see that money spent on. Kind of like a to-do list, top 3, and then
Yeah.
if there's extra funds. And we can speak to, I can sit down with Abby, pull, again, if we're looking at some sidewalk stuff and looking for, new lawnmower, whatever, how does that affect the general fund? So, we can't promise, but you may be looking at a level set or maybe 1 to 2, maybe 3% increase a year. Or
It'd be
if
interesting.
we had these funds coming on top of that.
Be interesting to see if we could make an example project, like, let's just say Elm Street is in horrible condition and we need to repave Elm Street. Have Gary pull up, or get a a quote or just get a general ballpark number of how much that project would cost. And then if we paid for it out of the general fund with generated taxes versus if we had a local options tax to offset that cost, and what it would do to a typical home's tax bill.
Yeah.
Because that is gonna be what their interest is.
Right,
That-
and that's
that's what
how
I
it
wanna
affects
know.
us, yeah. And then there's also the Vital Village project, which we have old numbers, so,
Yeah.
but like we haven't been able to move forward with that because the cost is just so intense.
Because we have to do all our infrastructure before.
With
we
your
want
infrastructure
to
before,
do.
and those are grants that require matching funds, which we don't have.
Well, that was the
So-
initial point of because the initial point was if we got this past the last spring, and we started collecting, hopefully the goal was 3 years of collection, and then be able to go for that grant. If we got the grant, we'd have the funds for matching at that point.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to get anything out of the general fund.
Right.
That'd be close to 300 something thousand, we'd just be able to match that. And, I mean, there is something to say, I mean, again, not to pick on that project, but, you know, it is nice to have 100 grand and say, "Hey, let's go fix this sidewalk, and literally we could have it done within a month
Yeah.
or two.
We-
But, you know, when you start adding grants and stuff in, it's amount of paperwork and amount of time.
So yeah, let's
So-
do that. We'll get 3 examples of different ways, like have that be one, delays in grants, and then a capital project, and then if we can think of a third, more out of the box. I don't know if like Vital Village, the Depot Street Greenscape project, if we can try to pull that number and get it revised a
Yeah.
little bit and just say like, you know, it's not something that needs to be done, but it's
Very
something that would be
nice.
very
Or
nice.
just simply sidewalk projects too, that we've like keep pushing
Yeah.
down the years. The part of the reason I asked about that though was I'm just looking at the timeline. So, you know, this is the 24th, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then week 6 is November 5th. So do we have enough time to pull a presentation, have an informational meeting, and then print whatever materials we would need and
Without
let people
stuffing it
know?
down everybody's gullet all at once.
I think so, because
I mean, we've been marketing it for, I mean, I had it at the open house
I just-
last year, we've been talking about it, it's not like it's.
So like could we start our next trustees meeting with an informational? Like could we in 2 weeks do that?
you want to do that on the 8th or on the 22nd?
22nd would only give us 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be fresh in everyone's mind.
Right. I would think closer to the vote would be better.
I guess are we gonna does it matter if it's the 22nd to decide if we're gonna, because we had talked about
They
doing
said
the
it didn't have to
informational
be
meeting
longer.
and then deciding to vote.
Either way, I think personally, I think it should go on the ballot, because it's not up to us at the end of the
No,
day.
it's
So as
not.
long as everyone knows exactly what we're getting into, I think we should put it before them.
So I think that if we're decided it's going on the ballot, the 22nd is totally fine. And we could do it a different time, but we're all planning on being here the 22nd,
Yeah.
so 30 minutes,
Is this room gonna be big enough though?
Am I gonna be here? Let's see.
I don't know.
It'll either be way too big or way too small.
I think we should err on the side of caution and see if we can use the emergency service building or somewhere. Last time we weren't sure and we didn't have enough seating.
Yeah.
So let's just,
How does the town feel about this? Do they even know?
I'm sure they're aware, I don't think they don't really have a say, I guess, I don't know what they, good, bad, or different, I know when the city did it in the town went first, of St. Albans,
Because of Walmart.
because of what?
Because of Walmart.
How have other municipalities, as they've enacted the local options tax, how is their grand list tax? Has it maintained low or has it continued to rise as well?
Ones I've talked to, they've kind of level set. I mean, it's all gonna depend on the projects that they have out there. like, the town is now, cause they just built that garage, but now they're looking at a new fire department. They need some funds for that,
Talking in St. Albans?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you may not get a lower tax bill if you get a nicer town. You know?
But that's a good question, I can ask that again.
Also, how does it work? Let's just say we adopt local options tax, the town of Enosburg also adopts local options tax. We're not gonna be paying 2%.
No,
It's whatever district the sale occurs,
exactly.
but
And my understanding is it gets literally right down to the zip code, and, because when the town did it before the city, there was a couple businesses that, I can't remember which way they went, either they were doing it and not supposed to be, or were not doing it and supposed to be, but they gotta get that much in the weeds to figure it out, because it was that close to the town line, the city line.
okay, so yes for the ballot, put it on
Oh, it has to go on ballot.
put it on the ballot, and then plan on an informational meeting for the 22nd of October, before our meeting at the Emergency Services Building. Should we maintain a 6:30 start time on that, or do like a 5:30, 6 o'clock informational meeting, and then our normal meeting will start at normal time?
Just gotta, for me, I gotta look at that, cause I can just not go when I have a conference, since we go that day and night.
Well, we kinda need you here.
Yeah. I can skip the conference and not. But if we plan on doing that, that's fine, honestly.
What's the conference for?
It's for, it's like leadership for light departments, it's like a New England one. So be there, basically doing all that stuff.
Unless we change the date of our meeting to let's say a Wednesday, the 23rd. Is that a cardinal sin of some kind?
I'm not sure I think I have a school board meeting that night, but I'd have to double check. But we could change. Or have a special meeting.
Or have a special informational meeting, yeah.
Mhm.
I just think the earlier we can schedule it, the easier it'll be on everybody.
Absolutely. It absolutely needs to be by the 25th of October at the absolute latest.
I know that whole week is pretty busy for me. The 28th through the
Tuesday
1st.
before?
You wanna do Tuesday the 29th?
I think I said the week before.
I think if we're using emergency services building, I think a Wednesday would probably be better.
They
Yeah,
it's fire
have
meeting.
something there
They got fire
that
meetings
starts
on
like
Tuesdays,
5.
right?
Wednesdays, they have something that starts at
Cardinal.
5.
Last
'Cause I tried
Wednesday
to
we had
rent-
DRB.
I try to
This
use
Wednesday
the
we have a DRB.
space.
So,
Yeah, but those come up as needed, right?
Right,
DRB
and there's
meeting.
nobody else there.
You guys in the back room, or
Yeah.
you got the main floor?
No, just a little room. And like you said, that's an as needed, but there wasn't anybody else there.
Interesting.
Is there any Wednesdays that work for you, or are you all booked on Wednesdays?
I was just trying to find when my board meetings are, but I think it's the 3rd Wednesday of the month, but I'm trying to figure that out.
Cause we could do the 23rd, Wednesday the 23rd, that'd be the day after our meeting.
because the 3rd is the
School
16th.
boards, board calendar.
Cause there are 5 Wednesdays in October.
Okay, so October 16th is my school board meeting.
Okay, so do we wanna plan on the 23rd? And we can always set this at our meeting on the 8th. These are just tentative plans.
Yeah. I
Will that work for you?
can double check my other calendar.
23rd,
That'll
yeah,
work.
just let me know, because I don't think that conference was super expensive, it was more, if I cancel the hotel, it won't be that
What days of the conference, just Monday and Tuesday?
much.
21, 27?
Yeah, I'd be back,
Okay,
I'd be back, like, yeah.
let's schedule that in then,
23rd.
the 23rd, Wednesday, Emergency Services Building, if we can get it. We'll lock this down on our next meeting on the 8th,
Okay.
but we'll get that ball rolling.
And we'll start getting, Gary to give us some of those numbers about
Yeah, just-
projects
yeah.
and what that would do to the ground.
I think if we just put like 3 examples together of this is how much it's gonna cost with or without the lot, that way we have something more real world to present.
Yeah. And that we,
Yeah, because the
Right.
main question is going to be, this is what it's going to do to me, but what's it going to do for me?
Right, right, right.
And to Eli's point, I mean, just if you can't be like, get all giddy and get 175,000, then it's still like, you want to spend more money.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
New taxes never solved any government's woes.
Alright, all set on lot for now, hopefully. Lengthy discussion. Up next, manager's notes.
There, I got it. So I'll make it quick. So we have an update on our hydro relicensing. So we have submitted our relicense, our 401 to A&R. We made the FERC aware, so they're aware that we did submit. We had a deadline of August 30th to have that done. We hit that August 30th date. So we're hoping our relationship stays strong with them and we keep communicating. We've been sending pictures and videos and information on our flows and what it looks like at the crest gates and so forth. And we also, they had requested one more study and Becky, our consultant, was able to pull that off before the 30th as well. And so they have all of our information.
Great.
They have a year to respond, but the point is we are keeping communication lines open. So if they have questions that arise, then we can answer them. Again, they did agree to, so at the initial request from 2022 was no peaking, but we've got it, they've allowed so far 5 days in summer, 5 days in the fall, and 5 days in the winter to peak if we wanted to hit those peaks. So,
Good news.
yeah. Elm Street, Water Street project update. So if you probably noticed, some of you might have noticed, they tied in the service drops from Orchard to West Berkshire Road. They have passed their chloroform test. They have passed the pressure test. Next week they are supposed to begin Valentine Drive cut in, and because that comes near the old Pearly house, the 1890 whatever house.
1906.
1906 house. That's about where they cut it. It cuts over to Valentine Drive, so they're cutting that in, and they're cutting in West Berkshire Road.
Was
next
that
year.
so that's the water shut off reason?
Yes. Yeah.
It's
They
like-
may not. We're gonna leave it as an advisory that we might be shutting off
Yeah.
the water for
I just
Valentine's, but
noticed
now we're
those.
being told they might be able to do it without shutting
Hmm.
off.
They still have to tie in on the water tower.
They're still waiting for the wet tap.
And we are all going to get new lawns, right?
We're all gonna get new
Oh,
lawns.
no.
Actually, they're gonna start.
I'll put their nose in it and make them do it.
They're gonna start laying curb next week as well. And then they're supposed to start cammering for wastewater next week as well.
Great.
On Elm Street?
On Elm Street. They're gonna camera it first before they
Line.
line it.
Oh, right.
Because they have to just verify again if there's.
So it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, any places where they may actually have to do any kind of work.
Are they gonna do another shim coat of pavement on Elm?
No.
That's gonna be how it is?
It's awful.
Yeah, the way it is the way it is.
That's not good.
No, it is awful.
I mean, I don't think it's worse than it was, but it's not.
Yeah,
it
It's
is.
Yeah, it
Ain't
is.
good.
It's
Yeah.
worse than it was.
Yeah. So no, that's the way it
Only
is.
because I use it every day.
Well, again, and some of that, because the project was actually under budget some, I don't know if you noticed, where they cut in is actually probably 3 feet. There's sections of it. So like almost all the way up from Leonard's all the way up to DFA. They added 3 more feet to that project into Elm Street. That wasn't supposed to be part of the project, the paving project. But because the road was so such a divot there. When they went through to cut it, it was like drop off, so that's why they've added that extra 3 feet through there. And same in front of where the oak tree was. That was another section that was added on. So, if not, I would have like. So yeah, we're not. And again, we're gonna have to look at that. Going back over all that once it's all done.
And settled.
I mean, I can have Gary work numbers on that just to get an idea.
Gonna have to get an idea no matter what, so.
Maple Park's done and looks good. That was $20,000 under budget.
Christmas party funds?
Yeah. Funding for the demolishing of 17 Main Street. So I'm gonna present that next meeting, hopefully. So I'd like to get it done before the end of the year.
That's the tan ones or the brick one? Which is
brick one.
17? Okay.
The brick one is
Ours.
17, the one the Village owns, or bought and owns. So we're going to, Abby and I have a couple ideas we're gonna present. We're gonna, I'm gonna be working on the RFPs today, tomorrow and Thursday. I should have those all prepped, so hopefully by Thursday, maybe Friday, I'll get the abatement test back. We felt pretty positive about it because they both have been renovated so much that there may not be much in there. So we'll get the abatement test back, and then I'm hoping to send that out Monday or Tuesday of next week, if not sooner. The RFPs, and I was going to give like a week to respond, so we know kind of the cost to take down the brick house.
Any time frame on the other two? Only because I get 75,000 questions a week.
Again, I mean, once I get, I'm hoping to have the RFP. I might put the date of the 7th or whatever that Friday is. If everything falls in line, whatever that Friday is.
8th?
But this year.
4th, yeah. 4th to be pushing it. I'm hoping to put the deadline for RFP return the 11th. At like noon on the 11th. So then if we get the RFP back, then I should be able to present it. And, well, again at the 22nd meeting. Yeah, that stinks. Maybe, I don't know. Hopefully we can get it out by the 4th. I don't know. Only gives people a week to respond. I think that's enough.
I think everyone's gonna agree that we should come out.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice to have it by the 4th, and in the 8th we could present the two, all of the RFP prices back, and decide to go with who. Assuming we're gonna go with the same person for both places, I'm gonna put it, when I email out, and advise that they're both available to be taken, demolished.
It's a twofer.
Yeah. That's that goal.
Well, this is a threefer.
So I should have numbers there, and then we can decide.
It's late enough in the season too, where people should be done their main projects for the year, so you might have more bidders than you did last time.
Yeah.
The one who did the last house just started digging the Berkshires. The town garage.
Oh, really? Question, Maple Park was funded with ARPA, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we still have a little bit left.
Yeah, we have the 20,000, it was like 19 something, that was under budget of the 56 or whatever we had budgeted for it.
So that's pretty
Yeah.
much 20 grand of unrestricted funds.
Well, we haven't, part of the APRA funding, I don't remember the exact dollar amounts, we have to finish up Upper Brisbane, Church Street
Sidewalk.
Right,
sidewalk. So if that comes in at budget or under, yeah, we would have $20,000 of funds.
Which we have until 2026 to spend, correct?
Yeah.
20 grand to go far. It's like 100 feet of
One
sidewalk.
sidewalk block.
Not even 100 grand, or not even 100 feet.
That's all I've got. I got a couple
But it could
things
be
on
one
the
of those
business.
flashing speed signs.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, today I advised somebody, forgot to push the button. Oh yeah, I never remember that thing. I was so encouraged.
A lot of people use
Made me
them
feel
and
so
tell me
good.
how happy they are to have them.
Well, that's what I said, this is
What else you got?
wonderful. Do you really don't wanna get hit, do you?
Other business?
Other business, two things. One, we gotta thank, I don't know, with that card, maybe in the same.
Yeah.
So we got a nice big thank you from the Methodist Church on Church Street for allowing us to park for kind of doing everything we did. You know, we helped during the Church Street paving, our wastewater, you know, DeRoche's did some things for them, and then we are allowed to park the cell tower at the town garage, at our village garage for the duration, so,
Is that done?
yep, it's all done.
Hmm.
Why is your cell service not working
That
properly?
sucks.
Well, that's not.
Okay, I was just,
So,
didn't know.
Just curious.
Right.
if you wanna read that again, but then we got a nice thank you card from them. The other question that came up is, as we continue to tear down buildings and work on fixing up the area, more and more folks are starting to like it and wanna use it. So is there gonna be a point where we have to come up with, may not be right away, but we come up with a park permit for that?
For right here?
Well, here, the bridge, I've gotten requests, I got a request from the rec
Okay.
committee.
Add check boxes on it.
I can see the bridge, this doesn't seem safe to me, not without some sort of a.
It needs barriers of some kind, or I think we're gonna.
If
Well,
people are gonna
Yeah, if they're like,
congregate.
If anybody's really gonna use it, we need a little more protection than we've got there, or we're gonna, I think, have what we sit on in a sling.
yeah, I think that should just be a green space, not a park.
But, well, I mean, they asked about that, so the rec committee, I guess, has got some classes or something, that they're mainly speaking to the Bridge of Flower Lights.
That's got
But I think-
restrooms, I'm okay with that.
Maybe we should add that to our park permit as a
Yeah,
check
because
box.
remember, we've had some requests in the past, like there was a couple that wanted to get married there, and,
Yeah.
And it should be being used.
yeah.
I mean, it's just, sure, it sits there with flowers and looks pretty, but
I guess the point is,
Big deal.
if we get the area more inviting looking, more and more people may want to use it, I guess.
Mhm.
So do we, and if, you know, as we end up at Lover's Landing, there was another request for suggestion there, so.
I think that the flowers and lights should definitely get thrown onto the permit as a checkable box. Facility requested.
Yeah, which park?
Right, it wouldn't take much to add another box for flowers and lights at least for them. Cause of that, there might be people that don't even know that's an option.
oh, I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
I
Of
don't
course, I
know.
was once told we have to be careful. If we start letting people on that bridge, they're gonna be born all over the place. We're gonna have problems. Almost threw him over the bridge myself.
There is island view on here.
Cavorting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's down
that's
from
not-
the bridge.
I know, but
Yeah. The only thing I wonder if, in this just
That's what I
technicality,
wondered.
is it's not really a, do we have to designate it a park or maybe change the title of?
Well, it says facility being used.
It says facility requested, but then the top it's called a park use permit.
yeah, I think it'd be fine. We can call it.
If we had to.
I think that's
make it
just
park/facility
splitting hairs.
use permit.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure if like, if we had technicalities that we had to follow through.
Probably
with.
not. I mean, it's a separate,
Comes under our loose Robert's Rule of Order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it is just a calendar. I mean, if somebody else is out there,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
because it sounds, again, this sounds like
What a
class,
lovely
I don't
place to
know.
have a wedding.
Yeah.
And I still, my biggest dream is a table from one end of that park to the other with chairs and a community dinner.
Oh, seems nice. I like
It
that.
would be cool. It'd be firm to table.
So should we just add Echo Park?
Echo Park?
That's what we technically call it.
That's by the generator?
Yeah,
And that includes the bridge?
yeah, I mean, it's, in the budget, that's how it's all considered. We budget for whatever,
The bridge is tied in with that.
yeah.
Yeah, so.
It's already a park.
Okay, it's already a park. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think we would have to go through the whole steps of changing the ordinance in the parks, permit application.
Well, if it's already designated a park,
I know, but remember, they took a while to change this, we had to do like the whole 60-day thing. We gotta look into
Yeah.
the steps to do it, but
Yeah,
I think we have to
Yeah,
change the
publish it.
ordinance.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good then.
You're just a,
It's workable.
initial
Worth doing.
request.
Yep.
Winter time's probably a good time to do it in.
Yeah, not too many people will be trotting down there when it's 40 below.
Okay.
Because
Other,
the other request was if the whole Lord's Lake thing happens, I guess the rec department is looking for a place for the boats because of some of the things that happen on the trail.
yep.
So I guess they've currently decided that they're gonna shut that down indefinitely and they're gonna try to find a place to move it.
It's really not the best spot where it is anyway.
So
Just in
we're
general.
outside.
Exactly, you're like a passersby, they're not gonna be like, ooh, this is cool, and then you have to walk to it.
Yeah, you almost have to have some advanced knowledge to even.
Exactly, and then go through like all of those mosquitoes to get to it. It's a lovely spot, but
Oh, the landing is beautiful.
But yeah, so yeah, it might
Yeah.
actually be like situation aside, a new location might be good for the program anyway.
Yep.
Now, if we ended up doing the Echo Park thing, do we have any kind of liability with the height of the sides of the bridge?
In our last report, when we had them come look at opening up the bridge, the only consideration they had was around the flower containers.
Mm-hmm.
We somehow, either where the steel round bars are, either develop something that, so you have the planter and you have a light and the fence just
The
comes out.
railings, yeah.
The railings, build something up, so either you can't get up on the, kid can't get up on the flower box and or to over the light, where the light comes up through.
Because the planters are so close to the edge of the bridge, they're worried about people falling off the planter and
Getting
over
over
the
the
railing.
planter and then going up.
And then going over.
So wherever there is a planter, having to build up, but where there's not a planter, they didn't have an issue.
Oh,
Because of
okay.
height. But for some reason, someone got on the,
This is already
Yeah, it is.
So
But-
it wouldn't take much to get it
real tip top.
Yeah.
real good. Yeah. Okay. No, good idea.
that was another recommendation.
We hate to lose a kid or whatever. Because there'll be no rescue there. That'll be recovery.
Other business?
I have one more. I know YouTube and in my emails, but I found some grant money to buy flashing crosswalk sign for School Street and another set of planters for street calming on Main Street. Wasn't sure if Abby's made the purchase and where we would want to put the other planters.
Don't believe Ken's ordered them yet. The signs or the planters? You're asking?
Both. Both.
I don't think he's ordered them yet.
Okay.
I'd have to ask him that. I don't, but I don't believe they.
Okay, I think the purchases need to be made and we're this week with the request this week because they need to close out the grant. It's just kind of like following up on that, and then what do we want to order? Like, where would we might want to put, like the flower planters and the reflective poles to go next to them.
So they're doing ballards and planters again?
I think so, unless like there's
You have a match, yeah.
not have the same color, but just like either. I don't know if we want to try to do them in Bismarck, because like not all of them needed on both sides of the street, depending. Some of them, because where we have it, there's 2 planters and a total of 12 reflectors.
Mhm.
Some might need a different combination depending on how the roads are.
What about about trucks, but depot? That's
Yeah, you
I
can't.
don't know if
well,
we could do it there because
You
the
don't want to
trucks
bump that
drive.
out too much because of the trucks. But you can on the left. You kind of can on the left-hand side.
Yeah, there's some of them where you could, like if we were looking at coming from Lincoln Park towards the rail trail pub, you could put two like the flower pot with the 6 reflectors on the rail trail pub side, and maybe a planter and 1 reflector or something like because the road there
On the Missisquoi Street side.
yeah, so it would look a little different.
I was kind of thinking one up by Jimmy Chainsaw's on the opposite side of the street to get people coming into town to whoa.
Yeah.
Right before Leonard's house.
Yeah.
You couldn't really do it on the other side because of the trucks.
I had a very concerned bus driver
There's
talk to me
Yeah.
the other day about the planters and the bollards.
Well, we can
Where they are.
determine that,
But it's easy for a tractor trailer truck because of the way they're
we
made.
gotta get them ordered though,
A
right?
bus isn't made that way.
Because of the turn?
They don't, a bus is turn the bus. A bus isn't turn the tractor, let the trailer follow it. And he was not a happy camper.
But they've been doing it. They haven't been hitting anything.
No, he said he hadn't hit anything.
And they're gonna go away in the winter.
Right.
So when the turn's
So
more
that'll make the biggest
difficult.
difference.
So it's really not that much of a year for them either. but-
Okay,
But not having driven a bus around them, I can't answer.
other business? Nothing else? Hearing none? And being no executive, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You the first, Sandy the second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed nay. Alright, meeting adjourned.